There, Susan Specht Oram, author here of mysteries, thrillers, and creative nonfiction, strange true tales from my life. I've got a book out today, and I'm so excited about it. So it's the fourth book in a series. So the first book, they can all be read, by the way, as standalone novels. First book is Wedding Nightmare, and it was inspired by a wedding that my husband and I went to in upstate New York, where the cake was shaped like a birch tree, and it started sliding. And I started thinking about, how uptight some brides are. So this one in the book really is, and this is her big day, and she wants it to be perfect. But the cake that she insisted the baker make, that is shaped like a birch tree, and the one in our experience in real life was even more tall and skinny at the top and tilting way over. And at the wedding reception, we were the first ones there, and the birch tree cake was sliding down to the floor. So we propped it up in time and saved the day, I suppose. Anyway, Wedding Nightmare is fun, dark humor. There's lots going on, family drama, and it's a nightmare of a wedding. So that's book one in my series, Isolated Island series, set on a fictional version of Whidbey Island. Then, this book, Poisoned Hollow, is the next one. And Poisoned Hollow is also set on a fictional version of Whidbey Island. And I owned some property once where the neighbors just turned out to be rabidly against me. And they didn't want a house built on the property. They felt that it was common acreage for everybody, a community park. But the land had been up for sale for a few years, so I bought it. And they were just nasty, nasty pants. So the Road Association. So this book is based on what if a writer just wanted to go to a peaceful place on an island near a beach and write a book. And oh wait, she's escaping her stalking ex in the city in Seattle, and but her vision of what she was going to, when she rented the cottage, what she was going to experience is wildly off from reality. And so the premise is, will Lenny stay and write her book and fight it out with these ugly neighbors and live in fear of her ex showing up, or will she flee, or will she stay? So easy premise, but she makes some tough choices. And so there's a lot afoot going on, a lot of twists and turns in both these books and in all my books, I hope you'll find. Then the third book in the series is A Chilling Christmas Eve. And so this too is placed on a fictional version of Whidbey Island. And so what if your estranged father passed away suddenly and you assumed you were going to get the money, like Francesca and her brother Troy assume? And the father had always said, you're going to inherit a lot. And this happened to somebody I know in real life. And you'll each have an apartment building. You would be wealthy beyond your wildest dreams when I pass away. Don't worry. But in real life and in the story, he didn't leave a will. So the money went to the grandmother who's still alive. And so we've got a greedy gardener who's behind the scenes, working behind the scenes, befriending the grandmother to get the money. And then we've got the daughter and son who want that inheritance too. So it's very twisty, a lot of surprises. And so I think you'll enjoy that too. A little bit of dark sense of humor. And then the new one, I don't have the book yet because I just ordered author copies from Amazon. And so that's The Woods Next Door, coming out. I think you'll see this on August 18. And it's just an exciting book. And I have to say, other than Shore Lodge, my first novel, which dealt with such gritty issues and betrayal of the worst depths in a family, and then life and death, high stakes. She must escape from a secure psych ward on an isolated island, which is my version of a fictional version of Guaymas Island near Anacortes, where we live. So the Shore Lodge is just packed with all kinds of drama and action, especially in the last half of the book, after the premise is set up. But this next one The Woods Next Door is just meaty. There's 5 points of view, and we open with this man who Lloyd is 15 years ago. We open with chapter 1, and I did not expect Lloyd to be the person he was. When I started writing, I had a different person in mind and a different premise for him, a different motivation. Um, and so I won't disclose what that was, because maybe someday I'll write a book based on Lloyd's evil um, twin brother. But in The Woods Next Door, Lloyd's son disappears on the beach and is found. And I won't go into more, but it just causes him much grief for the rest of his life and guilt. And so there's an unsolved crime, and he is hell-bent on solving that crime. So then we've got another point of view entering in chapter 2, and I had to be really careful because this book has 5 different points of view, but I really feel, and my editor felt, that they were well intended. They've got character depth, each one of them, and different motivations, and they feel different as you read. So chapter 2 in the book, The Woods Next Door, I started writing, and I really thought it was going to be from Francesca's point of view. She bought the hoarder's house. She wants to transform it into a cozy, comfortable beach home, but she has her challenges. It's filled with the previous owner's possessions. But no, chapter 2, this man inserted himself. He's in his late 20s, early 30s, and he took over that chapter, and there he was. And I thought, what is this guy coming from my hometown, a suburb of Detroit, Grosse Pointe Farms? We weren't wealthy, we were middle class, but tons of people around us were very well off. So it's an intriguing place to grow up and observe the very wealthy and the rest of us, and how we acted or didn't act. So the second character in chapter 2, there he is on the pages, and he was not going to give up. And something odd happens to him at the end of chapter 2, and he sets off on a mission. And when you read the book, you can see what his driving motivation is. Well, I'll tell you, it won't be a secret. He is going to find his birth father, and he's never gotten that information out of his mother before. And in chapter 2, he wants to find out the name of his birth father so he can find him. So he goes out to the Pacific Northwest, to an island, and he's trying to find this man. And is he alive? Is he really his father? So that's his driving force, but he's a very colorful character. So each character and point of view has an arc by the end of the book, of course, as books and points of view must, and characters must. So anyway, I think you'll be delighted and surprised by what happens in The Woods Next Door. And it is the 4th book in that series, but it can be read as a standalone, as all my books can. So you can dive in at any point. Okay, well, I hope you'll read it. And for me, one last footnote here. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe and like this video. That really helps me if you do that. So why a hoarder's house? Why was that premise the backbone of this book, The Woods Next Door? Well, we have a friend who has now passed away, but as in her last 15, 18 years, she became a hoarder, and you could barely walk through her living room. It used to be open, tiny little path, the kitchen where we used to sit and eat, tons of groceries. She was hoarding groceries. She was hoarding used newspaper, and once she was in the hospital, part of her leg had to be amputated, very sadly, tragically due to diabetes. And so while she was in the hospital, 5 friends decided to voluntarily go in and clear out the mess in her living room. And they got rid of all the hoarded newspaper and the other things, and she was furious. Now, they kept all the stuff that they'd cleared out in black plastic trash bags that they put in a bedroom. She never touched them. The plastic trash bags full of some of her hoarded things in the house remained till the day she died. But I found it kind of funny, and I used it in one of my books. I think by midnight. She had her second bedroom was largely full of rolls of toilet tissue in the packaging, original packaging. So anyway, hoarding is fascinating to me, and we have a neighbor who is a hoarder, become more in the last 15 years too. Um, and I wonder if I'm not a medical expert or a therapist by any means, of course. I'm just a writer and a former potter. I threw pottery bowls on the wheel and did abstract paintings that I sold at art fairs and in my little studio gallery in Ballard, neighborhood of Seattle, for 10 years. But I do wonder if there's a link between hoarding and a loss, a grave loss for someone, because really her hoarding started with the problems with the leg and then just escalated from there. So anyway, enough philosophizing, if that's the right way to say it, probably isn't. And I hope you'll like this video and subscribe and tune in for more. Take care. Bye-bye.